and good morning. Welcome to my talk. I'm glad that I'm able to go back to my work again, and once again, I'm gonna focus my studies because in the last almost 2 weeks, we are in the quarantine because our compound, our church compound in Mandawi, decided to have a self quarantine because one of my church mates was infected by COVID-19, and my tools and my computer and laptop was left at Maslog, Danao City, and that is the reason why I haven't made my task up to date. And praise God for this morning, for this day. I'm back, and we are all okay. And it's my opportunity to have this video. And for this morning, we gonna talk about analyzing language minority stories. Well, I am convinced that we are all born with an innate ability to learn and comprehend language. And one reason it seems to be magical to the people is that because we do it automatically as children, and we don't remember doing any work or any work, so it must just happen. Of course, the work is actually quite substantial, and it's just done subconsciously. And at the age when our memories fade very quickly, and so that's something magical. But those are innate ability that we acquired as human. And this morning, I'm gonna share to you four kids that has a different stories about language, how they acquired language or second language. So the first kid I'm gonna share is the Antti Jalava. He is a Finnish immigrant to Sweden. His native language was the Finland language, but he entered into an Sweden school, which is the school's policy is English communication policy, and that school prohibited him to write and to speak in the Finland language. So every time that he speak or he wrote words or sentences in a Finland language, he is scolded or prohibited by his teacher until such time he realized that he was very far from the class. So he decided to embark a new chapter of his life. He desired to study more and more so that he can learn a lot from it. He can learn about language, English language. Until such time he learned, and he practiced pronouncing it properly as what the other people or his classmates speak it or pronounce it. So until such time he learned and mastered it and speaking English. But the result what is uh, he forgot, or he lose the native language that he mastered beforehand. So he learned the new language, but he forgot the the native language that he speak in his early age. And the second child was Key, an indigenous minority student in the United States. Key is a Navajo child, and his language is Navajo. Then he enrolled into a school. That school is an English speaking policy. So his teacher is inspiring him or uh, allowing him, encouraging him to speak in English, but he could not speak it. And the fact that he is far from his parents, he is not able to communicate with his parents like even like once a week. He just communicate with them gradually until such time that he haven't communicate to their parents, and until he withdraw himself from both white people and Navajo people because he could not speak and communicate comfortably. He's not comfortable of speaking any language like Navajo and English. So the result was when he engaged into an English school, he does not learn English, and the worst thing happened is that he forgot the Navajo language. So it becomes non-lingual. So he does not speak any language at all. At the end, he engaged himself into a vices, different vices. Maybe he is desperate in his own personal life. And the second person is Richard Rodriguez. Richard Rodriguez is an immigrant student in the U.S., and his native language is Spanish. He speaks Spanish language, but his family entered school in the United States of America, an English-speaking policy. So at first few weeks he is mute and he haven't speak to any because his classmate could not understand him, and he could not understand his classmate also, and even to his teacher. And until such time that his teacher visited his parents and tell them and give them advice that they have to speak English language at home at the time that we gonna eat their dinner, breakfast, or anything else. They have to communicate, start practicing English language at home. So the parents of Richard, they followed the advice of the teacher. A few weeks after, Richard Rodriguez learned to speak English, and he volunteered speaking English in the school. So they was happy on that. But the impact is that Richard is very interesting in English speaking English speaking language. So in house he was speaking in different words in English, and the result was the entire family was very silent because they could no longer understand, or sometimes they misunderstood Richard because he's speaking in English. So you can say that the result is family sacrificed their language so that their child will learn English. And the fourth child is the Kurdish girl, the involuntary minority in Turkey. He's a girl, and his native language is Kurdish, and he engaged into a school which language is Turkish, and they were prohibited to speak in a Kurdish language. So they are teach and taught and encouraged to speak Turkish language until such time that this girl mastered the Turkish language, and even he mastered also the Kurdish language both. So if we gonna analyze it all, maybe we can judge those kids like some are non-lingual, some are bilingual, some is monolingual. So as I observe in the story, I can say that language is a learned skill. So language is a learned skill, and the factor of learning that skill is one of the factors that learns or encourages us to learn that skill is the migration and environment, our environment. They are one of the factors for us to be able to learn, to acquire and learn language as well. Like for example, and the kid number one, the Jeliva, his native language was Finland language. But until then, he migrated to Sweden. He learned English, but he forgot the native language. It could be the factor that he forgot the native language. It is because he has no longer exposure to the Swedish people, Finland people. Like for example, his parents is not communicating them in Finland language. So he is he is exposed to English speaking school. So that is why he forget the native language. But maybe when he will go back to his homeland and start over again, he will learn, then go back and master the native language, and then of course the English language. And if we're gonna go back to Key, the indigenous minority student in the United States, he is became non-lingual. It is because he is struggling with what language we're gonna speak. So it became the language that he acquired is mixed from Navajo and English language. So I do believe that the important factor for us to learn, or for them to learn language, is the environment and so-called migration. So when they are exposed to an environment which is English speaking, they can speak it well. They can acquire the language. For example, English language, they can acquire it by listening and practicing it daily, or daily routine. They're practicing it. Like, what happened to Key is that he forgot the Navajo language because he is not communicating. There is a seldom communication to his parents until such time that he no longer communicating them. So at that moment he is mute. He is not. He desired to be silent, to be alone, and he no longer speak to somebody else. So that would be the reason why he lost those. He lost the native language that he acquired at the first learning. And well, the third child, Richard, he learned English even though his native language is Spanish. But because of the environment that his parents trying to sacrifice and taught them, taught him to speak English, even if they are not so master on that, but they are trying their lives to speak in English so that uh, their child would learn English. So what happened? So Richard mastered English because his environment, both the home and his school, is learning the English language as their means of communication. So in that matter, I do believe that we can learn language in a natural way or in a conscious way. So our first language, we acquired our first language in a natural way because we have that innate ability to acquire language. In the age of 2, in the age of 3, we are able to speak our native language. Like for example, a Japanese baby was born in United States. When he grow up, like for example, in the age of 4, he will not learn he will not speak Japanese language, but he will speak English language because the environment, the bringing, or the migration, shall I say, theory, will impose or encourage him to do that. So with that, there are factors that drives a person to become bilingual. Like for example, the environment, the the children pick up the language that used by his or her parents. The migration theory, when one family migrated to into another place, or from one place to another, they will learn also another language. Like for example, um, a Filipino, in his native language is Tagalog, but when he go to Japan, he speak a Japanese language. When he go to Canada, he speak English language. So migration can have a good impact when it comes to for you to become bilingual. And number 3, it could be a diligent practice, because in our time today, there is what we call formal and informal learning of language. Like for example, if you are interested of learning Japanese, you have to browse the web, look at to just watch and learn to the YouTube and any other videos, and in that way you will learn Japanese language. So diligent practice, the choice or an interest of an individual. And the last factor could be a cognitive factor. There are people who are born that they are monolingual. They are not able to learn different language. They're just maybe they are not exposed, or maybe their cognitive capacity is just one language. Maybe if they study another language, it could trouble their mind. So that is just my idea. But I do believe that cognitive factor is one of the factor that encourage, or a factor that will affect to the areas of the mind of the child for them to be able to become a bilingual person, able to learn a different language. Like for example, those people that their families are speaking bilingual language, of course they will adapt it, and cognitive with their cognitive functions, or like their IQs are like engaged to a different language, then it will develop from time to time. So in our time today, most of the kids will become bilingual. It is because of their exposure. The advent of the technologies causes knowledge explosion. Like for example, internet, computer, mobile phones. Children nowadays exposed to what is familiar and famous language, and people are interested to, and now most of the people are interested to bilingualism. They wanted to become bilingual because there are benefits and there are greater advantages in the society. So with that, this present time, most of the people will become bilingual. It is because of the knowledge explosion, and the knowledge that we need to acquire is available in our time. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.